Happy Sunday, everybody. It's good to see all of you. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Before I bring on my guests, I do want to apologize to all my Patreon members. I've been really slacking with getting my Patreon winners stuff shipped out. I've got everything ready to go out tomorrow, so I'm going to be caught up as of tomorrow. We'll do the Patreon giveaway next week. Let's see who we have in chat. Say hi to some people. Cheers, Kathy Huey. I'll be listening as I cook dinner. I rushed and got that done right before we started. Cheers, Eric Gunderson. It's good to see you. I know you'll have some really good Irish whiskey. Cheers, Christine Vasko. Sláinte, y'all. Cheers, Andrew Butler. Andrew, I think it was you. I come across an email about Scotch samples, so I need to email you back. I'm just finally going through and cleaning up all my email too. I've been behind. It's been a crazy couple of months. So I am going to bring out my guests. These are two wonderful people I've had the opportunity to get to know. They have a great podcast. So I wanted to bring them on, have them talk about that, have them also talk about and drink some of these Irish whiskeys that we got in Ohio. So please help me welcome Mark and Christine Vasko from A Spirited Life. Sláinte, guys.
Sláinte.
Sláinte. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining me today. So we got a couple more people come in here. I always lag because my internet sucks. I'm still in the basement. I'm working on getting upstairs. It's just too many projects all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers, Bourbon School. It's good to see you, Brian. Amy O'Byrne's Irish Pub on Instagram. If you guys aren't following that, it's freaking amazing. Cheers, Amy. Amy gets a lot of good Irish whiskey too, because Amy is married to an Irishman. So he makes trips back and brings her good stuff.
There you go.
Hey, cheers, Slapshot.
All right.
So we are both starting with the Sam Pour. So this is one of the new brands. It's actually new to the U.S. So Ohio was the first state to actually ever get this in the U.S. And that is Skellig 618. This is the small batch Irish whiskey. This one is 40% ABV. What's unique about this one is it's PX finished. So that's kind of different for a budget pour. I freaking love Skellig. Skellig absolutely embraces the whole, Star Wars kind of thing because they're named after Skellig Michael, where Star Wars was filmed. Mm-hmm. They have the North Star, very nautical maritime area. Yeah, I absolutely love them. I loved meeting him.
He said what? 618. That's the number of stairs that leads up to the monastery.
Yes, the monks hand carved into the stone 618 steps from the coast up to the monastery. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Amy says that's why I married him.
Yeah, and I think that is actually like a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
It is a World Heritage Site. So they let certain number of people over there per day. Mm-hmm. Hey, cheers, Beach Sam Bourbon. It is good to see you. Pouring some Teeling Ruby Port Cask. Eric's going hard in the paint with a 58.4%.
Starting off well.
I hope you're still here for the end, Eric. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool. Now, on very clear days, you can stand on the coast and actually see Skellig Michael. But if you've been to Ireland, you probably know this. Clear days are few and far between. So tends to rain a lot there, but
a little bit.
Yeah, they take you on the boat. Now, we did not actually go over on the boat when we were there. It's a long boat ride. I think it's like 40-minute boat ride out there. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah. So we had to be in Dingle. So we went to Dingle instead and got to see the bay where the dolphin funky was. I think they think he's passed because I haven't seen him in several years, but. Mm-hmm. But great whiskey. We also have the single pot still in Ohio. Mm-hmm. I really like this one. I think it drinks above its price point. It reminds me, honestly, of Power's Three Swallows because I think that one's a really good priced whiskey as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sherry finish.
Yeah, and if I remember right, this is priced at what, $35 here in Ohio?
$39.
$39. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, still really approachable price wise, and again for like the quality of the depth of what you get for that, pretty fantastic, especially
and supporting an independent Irish brand.
Yeah. Yes,
very small. If you buy their whiskey, you tag them on Instagram, you'll probably get a response from them. Mm-hmm. Personally, thanking you for buying whiskey.
Yeah.
So you guys had the opportunity to also attend these events, meet all these makers. Christine enjoyed it so much. I saw her in Columbus.
Nice, yeah.
That was so much fun. That was so much fun. And we had some good gins too. I think you came down to get that gin.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was happened to be down there anyway, so I stopped by. But yeah, that's where I picked up the gin right away.
The Maharani.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, because it sold out at the Cleveland event. And we went to go buy one, and they didn't
It
have
was all
any more.
gone.
So they had like everyone had cleared the shelf of the Maharani gin, and so since Christine was going to be heading down there, it's like, okay, that's the one thing we got to make sure that we get.
I got it, and then I got it signed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
she was lovely.
You could tell they were very passionate. Like, I think, I mean, we went to Strongsville, which is the Cleveland one, which was amazing because it was in a giant eagle. So it was like a 2-floor type thing.
Yep.
You guys had the biggest attendance.
It was so spread out compared to the Columbus one. I don't know how that was managed, but yeah, and it was packed. It was.
You guys did have it. Yeah, you guys had the biggest attendance of the three.
Yeah, it was. So for those that don't know, Giant Eagle is a grocery store chain, and they do have some of them that have like specialized areas that have like what they call the marketplace, where you can get foods and have a sit like and things like that and enjoy it. They use that space.
Yeah.
So
and that's where one of the
really
OHLQ stores is. Yeah, it was. I mean,
in Ohio, the liquor store is in the grocery store. It's allowed.
Which is nice when you have to line up for something though. You can line up inside a store.
I know, it's so nice.
You don't have to stand outside. Yeah. But yeah, it was great. Like you walk in, there was a long line. If you wanted to, you met Fred. And then it was the 2 floors. And they had the banners. And I think the thing that I loved the most was you got to actually meet the people that were making the whiskey. Like there was a few representatives and they were all nice and kind, but it was like literally the people, when I met Sir Morris. He's like, no, okay, you get it from my land. That picture right there, that's my barley.
Oh, he saw me, and I'm like, Morris. He comes up and gives me a hug. I'm like, hey, I talked to your wife earlier today. So it was so nice to finally meet him, like in person.
Yeah, it was the best. I did name drop. I'm like, okay, do you know Stacy? I know Stacy, and that's how I ended up getting in because they're like, oh yeah, I'm like, you know everybody.
Yeah, he and Louise know me really well. I know the two of them. Oh, look at it! Speak of the devil. Hey, cheers, Donald. Slancho, it is good to see you. We were just talking about if Shayla I know she's making her way to Toronto. She was trying to get a hold of you. So hopefully she was able to get a hold of you. Our son did his teaching study abroad. He went to Ireland and fell in love with Irish whiskey. He toured a few places when he was over there. Yeah, I was over there, but unfortunately, they did not have that many distilleries open. So I'm excited to get back over this fall and see all of these distilleries again, especially since I'll be up north this time. Hey, Mike. Cheers to you, sir. It's good to see you. Let me know if you're going live tonight, Mike. I didn't see the link, but it's been a little bit since I was on YouTube.
Yeah, I think he threw it up there.
Okay. Bottle kill right now, Bushmill 16. I love Bushmill 16, Tom. That is the one that actually got me into Irish whiskey, was the Bushmill 16. Funny, I was dropping Stacey's name yesterday. Yeah, Mike was at one of my favorite places. He was at Talnua yesterday. Absolutely love that place. Hey, Darrell, cheers. It's good to see you. Darrell's had his hands full with little birthday girls.
Oh, so sassy girls.
So cute. Okay, good. She got a hold of you. Good. Kilko, cheers to you. You guys, Kilko, make sure you throw your link in here. Guys, make sure you jump over after. We're going to be done by 7, so you can jump over to Kilko's stream to help him celebrate his 850 subscribers. Congratulations, Kilko.
Yeah, big grats.
Here's Z-Man.
Z-Man.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was so good to see. It's funny, a lot of the people I freaking have talked to, tons. And that morning, I actually got to go to, I don't know if you follow the Scotchy Bourbon Boys at all, but I got to go to one of their podcasts at Burns Pub, and they're like inviting me, think, oh, I'm going to be flying. And of course I walk in, I'm like, hey, Pat Martin. I've known both of them forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you will be live tonight. Okay. So we make sure you guys tune in at 9:00. Yeah. So tell me about your podcast. You guys have one. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So A Spirited Life is essentially a little bit of whiskey, a little bit of how we're trying to balance living well with, still thinking of the future and have, working towards financial independence. And so we want to make sure that we're saving for the future, that we're working towards that financial independence, but we don't want to live so frugally and so sparsely that we're not living along the way.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you're working towards financial independence and you're not learning how to enjoy your life, or you're not working towards something that way, you're going to end up getting there and then going, okay, now what do I do? And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to find that balance where we're making those investments and we are focusing on that to work towards that financial independence, but we're also figuring out how to, make the most of life and live every day where we are being really intentional and really thoughtful, trying to get the most out of life that we can while on the journey.
Make sure we keep our spirit filled.
That's right. And of course, because we're trying to live a spirit life, have a little bit of whiskey along the way and talk a little bit about some of the whiskeys that we find that match up with some of the topics that we talk about. So,
well, I think there's a delicate balance because you do obviously don't want to fall victim to FOMO to the point where you don't have any money, but you still want to enjoy life. And that's why I really love it. I'm like, it's such an area. I don't think I have found a podcast like yours. And that's why I really, really have been enjoying it so much.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I always, you save for retirement, you save for retirement, you save for retirement. So then you either live so frugally that you're saving for retirement that you missed out on all these years that you could do things. So then we got to a point where like, okay, so we save for retirement. Can I do the things at 70 that I can do at 30? Like there's a time when your body, no matter what you do, is going to not be able to keep up.
Yeah.
We really wanted to find a way where, we make intentional choices. We still find ways to enjoy life, but we're also setting it up so we're not so reliant on having to work forever.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that because I've pointed out to my husband, like, if I can retire at 68, 70 years old, I can't exactly climb up to the top of the freaking Irish castle like you can when you're in your 40s and 50s. So yeah, I could completely appreciate that. And I always remember this one coworker that I had, this gentleman, and he actually came out of retirement to work again as a marketing manager at this company. And the company ended up a few years later went into sale and they sold off a division. So he was one of the people who got let go. So he finally started into his retirement. And within like 2 months, he actually had fallen off of a ladder and went and died in surgery. Ooh. And I'm like, look at all those years he lost because he decided to go back to work.
Yeah, it's a mix of you don't know what tomorrow holds. Yeah. So if you keep putting it off, on top of you don't want to live, so then you end up living so long that you end up underwater.
Yeah.
You can't live a good life. I think for us though, it also took a while to figure it out. Like we're just two average people that went, ooh, let's look at our future and what do we want it to look like? And then we've had to do the trial and error along the way to figure out how to set us up.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Mike's comment there in a moment, but one of the reasons why we wanted to do this was like sometimes people aren't always necessarily comfortable about talking about finances. They're not always comfortable talking about how do you even go about doing this. And to Christine's point, like we're just two regular people, and neither of us have like a finance background or anything like that. But the information is out there; it's doable, and what we want to do is potentially maybe help start some conversations or give people some ideas about how they can start to approach some of these things or where to look on some of these things so that they can start to, if they have interest, start to do some of those things themselves. And so we want to set that example for everybody to be able to say, hey, look, these are some things that you can do that you can get into with just a little bit of effort and a little bit of intention. And I saw Mike's comment there about it's important to know your bucket list.
Yeah.
That is one thing that we have we've always tried to do. And I think that we've always had an undertone of trying to make sure that we live well while we're trying to work towards financial independence. And, now we're just being, very specific and very intentional about that. And it was funny at one point, Christine and I talked, and maybe you can talk a little bit about this. Like we had actually knocked off everything on your bucket list.
Yeah. So My thing, first of all, Ben, I don't have braces anymore. I'm no longer a child. I am an adult now.
I wondered if you've seen that yet.
Yeah, I am an adult now. So I think growing up, money was always kind of a challenge in my family. We didn't think much about retirement, so my bucket list was so small. I didn't think that I was in a position where I could do some of these bucket list type things. So my bucket list was like go to Ireland, Scotland, see, I love orcas. So it was like see orcas in the wild. So we went to Washington and we saw them there. And it was just kind of meh. So we like ended up banging it out right away because, oh, thank you, Ben.
Aww.
So I didn't dream beyond the everyday grind and maybe a thing or two here because I didn't realize what other options were out there. And then Mark kind of helped me see that we could do different things. And that's also what part of the podcast is doing. It's helping me realize like, okay, so I could have like this really expensive cell phone bill and have all the best unlimited data, or I could cut that back and then that money could go elsewhere. Then I could open that door up to be able to do all these things. So I don't feel pinched or stressed, but I could still get out and just explore what the world has to offer. And so now, like Mark said, I have to redo my bucket list to up it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things where if you listen to the podcast, I'll talk a little bit about this on there, but I'm the, hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that. And I'll just surprise her with,
how can we make this happen?
Yeah. And so when it was like, one example was when they were doing the final shuttle launches for the space shuttle. And we both had grown up with the space shuttle and always, big fans of space and things like that. And they announced that they were closing out the program. And she said, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if we could go watch a shuttle launch? I'm like, all right, let's do it.
How do we do it?
And so we asked ourselves the question, okay, how could we do that? Can we make it happen? And so we did. We had to work at it a little bit. Like we had to work to get the tickets to be able to go out to the causeway. And then the shuttle launch that we went to go watch was the last one for Endeavor. They actually scrubbed it. We were literally on the bus waiting to go out to the causeway. It was 45 minutes or an hour before the launch. And they're like, nope, they're canceling that. So then we had to figure out how to be able to get back down to Florida because we live in Ohio. And we had to figure out how to get back down to Florida a month later and try to jockey our schedules and everything. But we made it, and it was absolutely worth it.
That would be so cool to see. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, highly recommended. Even for the rockets that go up now, to watch those is really impressive. But it is always asking that question. Okay, how might we do this? How could we do this? And
what if we do this? How? Yeah.
Yeah, and if that's really important to us and prioritizing some of those things, how can we make that happen? And just sometimes even being open to new experiences. That's a part of how we got into whiskey in the first place. Was that I said, hey, let's try being whiskey drinkers, right? This is be something different, something interesting, something new. And so that's how we got into whiskey. And now you can see where that's gotten to behind
nothing.
us.
Well, that and on top of that, the whiskey community, and Mark's like, we went to the first pours in the park, and Mark's like, let's do this, and I'm like, okay, a bunch of drunk guys, I'm not sure, but let's give it a try. And it was literally one of the best things ever. So now we're like, okay, how do we get to more events? How do we work it out? How we could see our whiskey friends throughout the year? Like what do we want to do?
On the banks, it's nothing but shady people.
Nothing but shady people living in a van down by the river.
Yeah, that was so much fun. We're definitely
that was a lot of fun. Yeah. So yeah, it's just kind of sitting down and going, okay, what do we really want to do? What are we willing to adapt to do it? And how can we make it happen?
That's great ideas. And I love the thing about the shuttle launch, because honestly, when I think of, these big, huge experiences that I want to do, I often forget about how many there are in the US. There's a ton of stuff that you just don't think of. That would be an amazing experience. So I love stories like that.
Yeah. We've done crazy things. We went to Colorado Springs, and Mike Stahl probably knows about that. We did the incline, which is I go hiking with my friends and I figure out how to try to kill people. So it was one of those, what can we do while we're there? So we did this incline, which is a beast.
It's 1,000 feet of elevation gain in less than a mile.
Yeah. I can't even it's all I could do to manage the 2.5 mile flat trail back behind.
No, but yeah, it's just one of those like let's find some fun and interesting things to do around where we're going to be or what we're doing.
That's so cool because, and you're probably getting such unique experiences that a lot of people wouldn't think to do that are completely within reason, that are reasonably priced. I mean, that's really cool. Okay, what are we drinking next?
Oh, what are we drinking?
What are you moving to?
Do you want to do
Liberator or Clonakilty? What were you thinking?
I was thinking Clonakilty, the stout.
You do that one, and I will do. Oh, which one? I'll do the Furcullen 15. I brought that one out.
You know,
we have that. We haven't cracked it yet. We have.
Oh, you haven't cracked it.
We can go through it. We have similar stuff. We don't have all the same. We have 2 Liberators, the small batch double port, and then we have the Muscatel. Oh, I want to open. We haven't opened this one yet.
Yeah,
I'd like to do this eventually.
Yeah,
that one is yummy. That one I think would make a great old fashioned. But so Ben knows all about this one because he might have left Ohio with a bottle.
Ooh.
So this is a Furcullen 15-year single grain Irish whiskey that's finished in Madeira. This one is ridiculous. So this one is 41, I think it's 0.5% ABV. What's ridiculous about this is you're getting a 15-year-old Irish whiskey for $65. That's insane.
I was absolutely shocked at the price for this.
We actually were so surprised. We checked with Ann Demick with OHLQ to make sure the price was correct. And she said, yes, that is. Because we were sure that can't be right.
So what was your Columbus experience? I only stayed 10 minutes there because it was just so incredibly crowded. It was just in a regular store.
It was like that until about the last half hour, 40 minutes. It started to thin out a little bit. I got there early. I was working the table for JJ Corey Irish Whiskey. So I was there before it actually started for setup to help set everything up. I was permitted. The only thing I could not do was actually pour the whiskey into the cups because I am not, a licensed wholesaler. I'm not, don't work for the distributor. So I couldn't do that, but I could hand them out and I could tell people about them. I could take, the little quarter or whatever that they charge or 50 cents for the tasting. So I got to talk to a huge amount of people, got to talk to Louise. And I actually was so busy the whole time. I forgot Kevin O'Gorman and Barry Chandler were up at the front. And I'm like, they're still here. I completely forgot they were even there. So I went up and said hi to Kevin and Barry. But we were back in that little corner with Morris O'Connell and the Liberator. And I was talking to them and right beside Skellig 618 and Cathole. And it was packed the whole time. It was great Experience. Got to talk to everybody. I did feel a little bit, it's kind of funny. I felt a little bad for Fred Minnick. Because he was just kind of off back in the corner. So you could tell the bourbon drinkers who knew who he was. And they would go up and introduce themselves. And I pointed out my Irish whiskey friends are like, well, who's that? I said, well, that's Fred Minnick. And they're like, oh, okay. And they kept going. Not as big a draw for they were more excited to see the Irish distillers there. But great time. I know they did a ridiculous amount of sales. I know my husband was going to get me another Redbreast 27 there. He was going to have Kevin sign it. They sold out of all of the Redbreast 27, all of the Middleton Very Rare, all of the Jared Gaelic, basically anything in a wood box they had, gone. They sold all of it. Barry Crockett, everything.
Well, I remember I was talking to Hopper from Clonakilty.
Yes, Hopper. Yeah, I talked to Hopper a bit too.
Yeah, he was talking about how he was very skeptical because I said, I was up in Cleveland. I just stopped in to grab the stout because they sold out of it up in Cleveland. And he's like, honestly, when they first told me about this, he's like, I was so skeptical. He goes, but obviously Ohio was just like itching for some good Irish whiskey. He's like, I thought between paying the 50 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, between paying that, he goes, he's like, this is not going to be anything. He goes, I look around and it's asses to elbows. And he's like, everyone's enjoying this. He's like, I am blown away by the response.
Ohio is actually 4th in the country for Irish whiskey sales. And us in Florida go back and forth for 3rd.
Okay.
So yeah, Mike says he did that. Yeah. So Tom is talking about if you want to go on an Irish whiskey excursion in Ireland, which is what I'm doing in the fall. It is Irish whiskey experiences. Or if you're already planning a trip to Ireland and you just want to do like a little whiskey excursion, they have little day trips as well.
Awesome.
Amy, will that event take place in Ohio again next year? We've kind of there's been no promise, although we've kind of already committed Anne to doing it again next year, because it was wildly successful. So we are really hoping that they do turn it into an annual thing.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, Sierra, it is good to see you. It is so good to see you. Whiskey RN, one of my mods, drop her link in chat here. Such a nice girl. I absolutely love watching her content. It's so good to see you again. Hey, cheers, Fat Daddy. I saw 3 of the French oak releases go out. Oh, let me share. I got everybody. Yeah, I got everybody. I got a little behind. I'm trying to catch up.
This is our first sip of for Cullen 15.
Oh, I honestly, I was really surprised. So I got to go. I got to try the whiskey before I had the opportunity to sample it at an event prior to the public release. And the Cullen 15 was probably one of my top 3 bottles when I walked out of there, which surprised me. I did not expect to enjoy it that much. I've never been, a huge Cullen fan. I've liked some of their stuff, but yeah, this one is, and it's a bargain. For $65, I think it's a really great deal.
15 years, yeah. It's very, yeah, it's super complex, but super smooth. That's a very nice description I just gave.
Oh, there you go. Whiskey Nature, I need to make you a mod.
Yeah, definitely still get some of the more traditional notes even on the nose, things like that. A little bit of the shortbread.
Oh yeah.
I figure out if it's a grapefruit, a peach, or a nectarine that I'm getting.
I'm not getting grapefruit. I'm getting more nectarine probably.
Maybe
I was going to say apricot, but I think it's probably nectarine.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think more in the stone fruit kind of realm.
The other thing I can get that tells me immediately that this is a single grain, I get corn. I can pick up the corn on the nose. Hey, Trev. Cheers. It's good to see you, Trev. I love seeing his wedding pictures and all the pictures in Italy. I'm going to have to get to Italy now. Oh, what is in the glass? So we are having, what did I do with the bottle?
For Cullen 15.
For Cullen 15 year, single grain Irish whiskey.
Oh, ours is it? It's not.
And I do pick up a little corn. Yeah. But honestly, that's very common. Irish single grain, corn and wheat are used pretty prominently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's talk of an Irish whiskey Caribbean cruise in 2025. I'm not a cruiser, but if you're big into cruises and you like Irish whiskey, that will be a good one to go on.
Yeah. That's one thing we have not really gone to explore a little bit, and we probably won't.
I'm not a cruiser myself.
No. Yeah. You say motion sickness, I get motion sickness. I have thrown up in many a body of waters.
She was a real trooper when we went out to go watch the whales and things like that. And she's like, nope, I'm going to make it happen.
I took every medicine when we were in, I did cinnamon gum.
You told me it worked.
I took a thing. No, that was Monterey. The thing behind but I took every possible thing. I was good. The Dominican, I ended up they got me off the boat first, and then they gave me a bottle of rum because I'm not a complainer. I would just roll off the boat and just fall into the water whenever they anchored.
I'm good on the boat until the boat. I've never had any issue until we went to Hawaii, and I was good until the boat stopped. And it turned out we were there for the 3 heaviest days of swell, because that's also the 3 days they had a surf competition. So we were out and we went the shark cages, and they got us out there and we were good. And then the boat stopped, and it was like, and I'm like, I don't feel so hot.
Did you see any sharks?
Oh yeah. They're swimming all around you.
That is what's left on my bucket shark or my bucket shark. my bucket list. I would love.
It wasn't that bad. Yeah, you got to go to freaking Hawaii, but that ain't cheap.
Darn.
Yeah. Right. It's a long flight. That was the only downside to me. It was a very long flight.
Yeah.
But yeah, that part was fun. So when we go over to Ireland, the tour includes a harbor cruise of Belfast and another boat adventures. So I'm like, I'm going to have to pack some Dramamine because I'm good till the boat stops. Just don't stop the boat. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you stop the boat and just anchor out there, we might have some issues. But.
Yeah. Is it the ocean boat thing, not like a river or anything? Because I know it's the two different things.
Yeah, it'd be the North Sea.
Oh, yep.
It's off Belfast, so between Belfast and Scotland. Yeah. The harbor cruise, I think I'll be fine. I mean, that's like a lake boat. That's fine. But yeah.
When we did the catamaran, going out was more of this, and then when we were going back, they were speeding back, so we were up on top of the waves, and it was actually much smoother because we were just kind of like going from wave to wave to wave, and it was a lot less of the rolling.
Yep.
I am glad I did not actually go on the whiskey tour this last one. They went over to Ackle Island, and then they went over to Clare Island.
Okay.
A lot of people opted out of the boat to Clare Island because, I mean, it was like watching what is the movie with
Poseidon.
Storm?
Is it Poseidon? No,
yeah. Or like the Mark Mark Wahlberg,
the Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm.
Yes. That's what it was like coming over the bow and I mean
the oceans and seas around Ireland are not known to be the calmest.
No. Not at all. Venice is so unique. You can't get it anywhere else. The tiny streets, and again, the rundown hotels, all that there is. And then there's Capri. Sugar Kitty is telling us all about, never say it. A ship is swell. Yeah. It sucked. That was been the only time. And I didn't realize how bad it was until we came back and they told us this surf competition at North Shore. They have it in it's either October or November, but it's whenever the 3 highest days of swell are. That's when they have it. Yeah. Saw some surfing on the way back.
All right.
There Tom was on the boat. Clare Island. Clare was a little rough. Only 14 of us. So 14 out of 32?
Wow.
Made the trip over. Yeah, it looked, the pictures I saw, Tom, it looked pretty rough. Looked pretty crazy. Any tips for not buying whiskey when you see a whiskey you don't have yet?
Have someone stand next to you and have them punch you when you go to buy it.
Yeah, that is an option.
That would be rough.
I mean, you asked for a tip.
28. Trav says, we took a boat tour around Capri and Sarah nearly died. Even I was struggling. Seasickness kicked the whole boat's butt.
It is
you get out on some of those oceans and the Mediterranean. If it gets rough, it's tough.
Yeah. Ben, to answer your question, I mean, if you're good at following a budget and you give yourself a budget, that certainly can help. That's actually something I've been trying to be more disciplined about this year because I often found myself, I want to get that. Ooh, I want to try that. And I'm a serial trier, right? I love trying a lot of different stuff. And, I've tried more recently to be like, okay, do I really need to try this?
My credit limit. Well, just to think about the creditors coming to get you, and is it worth it?
That's right. And also think about, okay, hey, I can go and I can buy that and I can devote, some of my resources towards that. Or is there something else I'd rather devote my money to and rather make an investment in from an experience perspective? And so if you think about it from that perspective, what am I giving up if I choose to buy this bottle of whiskey? Am I giving up something else? Is there something else I potentially do? And sometimes the answer will be, no, I want to buy that bottle of whiskey. It's the right choice. But other times you may go, yeah, I probably don't want it that much. So it just kind of depends.
What helped me, honestly, was missing a release was the first, and it was rough to see all your friends getting this new release. And you I don't have the money. I'm not going to buy it and not doing it. And it's hard. The first one especially is hard. It gets easier then. So there's new stuff that comes out now and I see it. Now, granted, I did get the one that just released Friday, but there's new stuff that comes out all the time. And there's several that I don't have because I'm like, it's not going to kill me not to have it. It's going to feel like it is the day it releases and all your friends got it. It feels like it is, but it's not.
Yeah. Well, then you realize your friends have it and you could try it and you have access to it without spending so much money.
Right. It's kind of like that. Do you need the truck or do you need a friend who has a truck that you want to borrow when you need to move some mulch?
Till you get friends get to a certain age.
That's true.
We do have a truck.
Yeah, we have a truck because
you're those people who get bugged all the time then.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. It's a Passport, so it's a semi truck, but it's for our camping and things like that.
Yeah, but we did make an intentional choice, and we said like, hey, we would want to get, we would want to get the truck if it gives us our capability of being able to do that. Being able to go out and camp more, being able to potentially, if we decide to get like a RV or something along those lines in the future, because we certainly weren't going to tow it with a Civic. So, I mean, you could probably be really dangerous.
That would be fun to see on the road.
Oh, goodness. Hey, Emily, it's good to see you. Team Winch.
So,
or is whiskey the investment?
It could be as well. It's all about how you view it.
That's right.
There's no one right or wrong way. You got to live with your choices.
Yeah, that's tough. And it is tough. I see people all the time and trying to collect like the Middleton Very Rare as an investment. And I'm like, you realize the thing about those it's not like back in the 80s when they made them. They make a colossal amount of Middleton Very Rare now. It's not really all that rare at all. And unless you have like every single year lined up, I don't think the collectability, I'm not really sure if it's really that, because you could still find, 2020, you can still find one of those. It's 4 years ago, but you could still find one.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah.
Right? It's like small batch.
Only small.
45, 50,000 bottles released. Or do you need a friend who owns a moving company? Those are the kind of friends you need.
Yeah.
All those med cruises are nothing compared to Iceland. Ooh, Iceland would be nice.
Iceland's on my list.
I want to see Iceland too. That is on my list as well.
Yeah.
We could do Cleveland to Iceland to Ireland.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I don't have. Emily is not a wrench. How the heck did that happen? There we go. There we go. Corrected. Thank you, Sugar
As long
Kitty.
as it makes you happy, Ben.
Thank
As
you,
long
man,
as it fills your spirits.
That's right.
Hey, Jeffrey Wack. Hello again, whiskey friends. It's good to see you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that. That guy was Whack.
Whack.
Floor whiskey is my Iceland. Yeah. I'm just guessing you have enough floor whiskey to probably be
make your own.
If you sold it, it would probably pay for you a very nice trip to Iceland.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like baseball cards. The 50s and earlier were worth money. Now that they're mass produced, the value's gone. Yeah, and that is the thing. Oh, you don't have one either, Sierra? Yeah, that is the thing, is that they make so much of it. And I try to tell people that, at least about Middleton Very Rare, because it's not really rare.
Let alone very rare.
Yeah, let alone very rare. It is older whiskey. It's enjoyable. It's great for celebrating, a milestone event, a birthday, a wedding, birth of a child.
Absolutely.
But it's not as rare as you can still find them. You can find them all the time. Yeah. Unless you're at an event with Kevin O'Gorman. Then good luck to you. You won't find them. Yeah. If people buy them all.
Yeah. So I actually just went back to the Skellig just because I had a little bit left in my glass. And my gosh, that PX finish after having the for Colin 15 and then coming back to the Skellig, that PX finish just really stands out now. It pops. In a great way.
Yeah, single grain is such a different beast. There's still not a huge amount of them available. We had a couple in Ohio for the release. That one's a good one. And the one that JJ Corey has, plug JJ Corey, the 7-year single grain finished in Imperial Stout casks from an Irish brewery. And that one was really, really good.
Okay.
I only tried one of the JJ Corey's. And I'm drawing a blank.
The one in Columbus was the single grain stout.
Yes. Okay. That's the one I tried. That's the only one I tried in Columbus.
Cheers from Scotland.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Eat the haggis. Oh, it's so good.
I'm jealous of her second part of the trip because she's going to Ireland.
Oh, I am.
But I love all the pictures. Absolutely love all the pictures. I'm taking notes because I owe my husband a trip to Scotland.
Oh, Scotland is like, it's interesting. So we only went to Dublin. We went to Dublin for 2 nights.
Well, we did hub and spoke. So we stayed in Dublin, and then we would shoot out to different experiences.
We went to
I almost called Hoth.
Yes, I almost called it Hoth.
Yeah, I think it was Hoth. So down off the East Coast, and we actually hiked the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just absolutely beautiful scenery and things like that.
Yes, sugar cane. But yeah, you could tell. Like, so we only did Dublin, which people are very nice, but you could tell it was a harder city. Like,
it's the city. I mean,
you can tell the city. Like, so
yeah, it is just like a city, like anywhere else.
Yeah. So we live by Cleveland, which Midwest people are nice, but at the same time, they could be. I mean, we're the butt of everyone.
Yeah, it's still city.
We're the butt of everyone's jokes. We have a chip on our shoulder, and we could have an attitude. So Dublin was very much like that. Then we went to Edinburgh, which was just like a world unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I need to go back.
Yeah. And since we're talking about haggis,
it's so good.
Yeah. So quick story on that. I actually said, I'm like, hey, we're gonna get an opportunity. We're gonna get to try haggis. I'm gonna try it. And she was like, oh, no way. No way.
I would try it. I tried blood pudding. I would try it.
So I get it, and I like, we're at a restaurant. I get it as a side dish or whatever.
Seriously, exactly, it's sugar kitty.
Yeah, and I'm like, I tried it. I'm like, you need to try this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it worked well because I forgot what it was made of, and I realized I'm from a very Eastern European city. I know how the sausage is made. I know what natural casing is. Mm-hmm. So in knowing that, going, okay, so it can't be, okay, so it's a stomach instead of an intestine. Mm-hmm. So in knowing that, I tried it without realizing what the parts were, and it was so good.
And then what happened?
I tried blood pudding over there too, and I actually like the white pudding more than the black pudding.
Yeah, I don't. But after the rest of the trip, I had it on everything. I had it on my eggs. I had it in my chicken. Like, and then I had blood pudding. Like, once I got over the thought of what it actually is, and like once I separated and went, no, I've had natural sausages. I know what that is. Mm-hmm. Then it was just, I've never eaten so well as I did on that trip in Ireland and in Scotland.
Oh my gosh, I know it's the breakfast that, I mean, the amount of freaking food that you get for breakfast is crazy.
Yeah. And I could eat shortbread and all that stuff till I die. So I was in my heyday.
I miss back bacon.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I loved it. Oh. So the trip you guys took is kind of what we're doing, but instead of Dublin, we're gonna be based in Belfast for the whole week.
Nice.
Okay.
So we're gonna be going out from around Belfast. When we were there before, my husband, God love him, drove. I figure you're a truck driver, so you can drive, even though we're on the opposite side of the car. And I splurged and got one that was automatic. And we went from Dublin up to County Down over to Downpatrick because we were huge Game of Thrones fans. And so we did the Game of Thrones tour there because they filmed a good chunk of it. Winterfell is actually in County, outside of Downpatrick. I met some of the cast or some of the extras and the dire wolves. And then we were supposed to go into Dublin. Well, when we did the tour, I saw they're like, yeah, you'll go on a bike. That's 9 miles of biking. I was not in the best of shape.
You're like, no.
I was like the quintessential out of shape American. So we were huffing it. We made it. But by the end of it, we're like, yeah, I'm good with skipping. We'll just skirt around Belfast and go up to our hotel, which was on the Northern Atlantic in Ballygally, because it was like a castle. So we could explore around the castle and around that area too. Then we drove over through Ballantoy and the Carrucker Reed Rope Bridge and over to Bushmills and the Causeway. Got to see the Causeway. But then down through Derry and down into Galway. And we did basically a big freaking loop around the whole country.
Okay.
For 2 weeks. And I always tell people, like, write down everything you want to see, knowing fully well you're only going to get to like half the things on that list.
Which is just crazy because it is a smaller country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But still, like, and that's when we met people. Was it the guy working the souvenir shop from Cork?
Mm-hmm.
When he's like talking about the accents, he's like, let's see if you can figure out what I'm saying. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's definitely a place I need to go back and explore a lot more.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think that we regret about that trip is not spending more time and not giving ourselves more time.
Yeah.
In all the different places we visited. So I think we easily could do a week to 2 weeks in Ireland, a week to 2 weeks in Scotland, a
Mhm.
week
Yeah,
to 2 weeks in England.
Yeah.
it's so hard. It's so beautiful. There's so much you want to see. It really is hard. I say cheers, Joe. Cheers, Zenbood. William Davilar. You guys are all jumping in now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We get talking about Scotland and going on vacation.
Oh, Scotland.
As nice as it is, if you are only based in either Belfast or Dublin, you can't miss the West Coast. Everywhere from Sligo to Galway, Cliffs of Moher, Dingle, Ring of Kerry. I actually preferred Dingle to the Ring of Kerry, but the Burren is also out there. That was freaking amazing to see the Burman, see the dolmen out there, to see how the glaciers had carved into the limestone rocks with the deep rivets like in the rocks. It was really
Ooh, that sounds
it
amazing.
was super, super cool.
Same.
I only go to work to be able to take vacations. Right.
Same,
Yep.
Trav. Same. And in health insurance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the health insurance ain't that great, to be honest. But
It's better than none. But yes, yeah.
Hey,
That's how I
JG.
look at it.
GG.
all right. So the next one we're going to pour,
Can you pick?
I'm going to pour, is one and I
Okay.
know you have as well. So that is the Liberator. I'm pouring the Moscatel. You
We're
guys
gonna
are
crack that. We're gonna crack because I think I got that. Did we get that here?
So this one isn't new to me. I've gotten the one from Ireland, but this is the first time I've gotten it in a full size bottle. It normally is a smaller, just like a 500 the CL bottle, 500 milliliter. So this is the Liberator Malt and a Moscatel.
Yeah. We had the small batch, the double port is the one that we had open.
We're gonna open that.
I have freaking all of them. I have all of them. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, and the meeting Sir Morris was awesome.
He is a lovely, lovely gentleman.
Lovely gentleman. And then I met him I introduced myself. I met him in up in Cleveland area. And then it was great. So I ended up going down to Columbus and he's like, oh, I met you yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. But yeah, just to hear, like, it's his land. Like, he's like, you're literally drinking my land. And just hearing him be able to talk to people about his land and things like that. It's really, the connection was just amazing.
He honestly, he's wonderful. He is Sir Morris O'Connell. He is an Irish lord. His family dates back so many hundreds of years. He is let me see if I can still remember, the great grandnephew of Daniel O'Connell, who was first Irishman to British Parliament, fought for Irish rights, fought for Irish Catholic rights, and he was actually given the nickname by the British of that wayward Irishman, which is how they got the name for the
Wayward
Irish.
That is super cool. I think that's the one thing not only do I love drinking whiskey and I love talking to people while drinking it and the stories that come out, but hear that a lot of these have connections to history and things in the past. Like, I love history. I love stories. I could do this forever. So I just find like all that beyond fascinating.
So his family originally was from over on the coast. They had a place there. And they kind of had been in the exporting and importing, not really, they weren't paying tax. Okay. They were skirting the law.
They're finding loopholes.
Daniel decided to go into politics. So they said, well, we have to be on the up and up. He's in politics now. So they moved to their estate that they currently still have in Killarney. I think they've been there at least 300 years. It's just incredible. It's beautiful view there.
I just think like that's longer than this has been a country.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the other release that he have is the Wayward Irish has is the Lakeview Single Estate Single Pot Still.
I tried that in Strongsville. Yeah.
That one actually is grain to glass. So he grew that grain on his family's property, harvested the grain. He took it to Great Northern. He spent extra money to make sure only that grain went into that bottle. And it's a lovely, lovely whiskey.
Yeah. He was awesome because as he's sitting there and they had only one bottle open, he goes, this is my whiskey. I'm going to open it. I'm going to choose to pour whatever I want to pour. So, and that's where I had it was so good. He's like, this is mine. I could choose to do what I want to.
Yeah.
Like,
Columbus,
okay,
I kept introducing people. Jason Mashadrum, I introduced him.
Yeah.
So Jason got to try some of that too. He had it like behind the counter.
Yeah. It was so good. He was awesome. He's like, yeah, it's mine. I can do what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a 3-year-old whiskey that is so good. It's such it's perfect example of what happens when you do put all of that time and work into a good Irish whiskey. It doesn't have to sit in a cask for, 40 years. If you do it well, and that is what some of the smaller distillers are starting to do. They're starting to show if you do it well, you can release a whiskey at 3-4 years old, and it's wonderful. And
which
that
then
one
gives you the opportunity to compete with the big boys that have the mass.
They're starting to.
Yeah,
I can tell you that preview event I went to. There was one table that wasn't really getting as much attention as all the other tables, and that was the Middleton table.
Wow.
Middleton and Redbreast. Everybody else was swarming everywhere else.
Yeah, I think it's just because, and Jameson is how I got into whiskey. It was the one whiskey that I tried.
That's how it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, we went to the Jameson distillery. I would have Jameson ginger ale. That was like my toe in. But now, like, I don't know the last time I had anything Jameson. I think we had Bow Street. But beyond that, like,
I have the single.
It's so nice to see so many different options and so many different flavor palettes that it's like a wide open door now that you're not stuck with just like two options.
And there's nothing wrong with Jameson, but we've all tried it. It's in every freaking bar in the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go into the biggest dive bar in Kathmandu and you'll find Jameson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have the other options available to us here. And that was one of the things I pointed out to OHLQ is like, well, we've always had a good I'm like, we've had a decent selection, but here's the thing. There's a new bourbon every Friday. Every weekend there's a new bourbon release. There's only like one or two a year for Irish. So someone like myself who collects mainly Irish, we already bought it all. So we ran out of stuff.
Yeah.
And now I can go to the store and there's stuff that I haven't picked up yet.
Yeah. So I just took my first sip of this, and I would say that it almost is like it has that effervescent note. It almost like it comes off on my tongue like it's carbonated, even though obviously it's not. But it kind of has a little bit of effervescence.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, It's really nice.
I'm getting that too, and I wish I'd have saved a little bit of my bottle from Ireland to kind of do a comparison. Because it was a different batch. This one, I don't know if you put the batch number on this. No, he put the cask number. He did a specific cask for Ohio. Yeah. It wasn't an Ohio release, but he pulled a specific cask for it.
Well, and I think just Ohio's outpouring of people and it was just at 3 cities: Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus.
Yeah.
Just to see how many people came out to that, hopefully it gives me hope that we'll be able to get much more offerings of different Irish whiskeys when they come out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they do keep this as an annual event. I know a couple other states have actually seen what Ohio did and kind of are trying to mimic it and do an event of their own. Looking at you, New Hampshire. So keep, I have a feeling more of the control states will do stuff like this because it gives us an opportunity to do this. The other thing, a lot of the distilleries were not involved because they were in Northern Ireland. Like I've talked to OHLQ and I'm like, 2 stacks would sell great in Ohio. It would, because of the proof, it would do very well.
Yeah, my 2 stacks is halfway empty. That needs to come this way, or I have to go somewhere to get it.
Yeah, but this one, the whole thing was kind of done in conjunction with Bord Bia, who is food and spirits for Republic of Ireland, not Northern Ireland. But I know Northern Ireland has already expressed interest. So I'm hoping they will be included next time as well. So will you have even more? Thank you, Sugar Kitty.
Thanks, Sugar. Enjoy that. Yeah. I think
Nick and Viking Bourbon. Hey, guys.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that they did so well with people having to bring literally 50 cents. You had to pay 50 cents for a tiny pour. So people brought their change.
Oh, yeah, they did. They brought bags of quarters.
Yeah, this is how well it went when people had to go bring their, it's almost like old school. You had to go to the laundromat.
Nobody was using an Aldi cart that next day because everybody's quarters were gone. But
but to do so well with the limitations that Ohio put on it just speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I will say this. I know that some places that have state essentially state mandated or state run distribution, things like that, they're not great. Ohio, and some people still dog even on Ohio's, but they're trying. And they're
absolutely
making a lot of great steps towards putting events on like this that are an interesting draw, that are bringing interesting things to the state. And we took a friend of ours there who wasn't even into whiskey, and we're just like, hey, do you want to come along? We're going to this event. And he was like, yeah, sure. And he said, this was fantastic. I really enjoyed this. It wouldn't be my normal thing, but it was really cool just to hear the stories and the experiences. And I think it really goes a long way of being able to extend to people who, are, passionate about it and who are way into it like us, but also starting to give opportunities for other people to come in and experience it where they may not have that opportunity, by drumming some of this up, by putting on those types of events. So like what you're saying before, I really hope that they do this as an annual.
Oh, I do as well. I know Fred Minnick was really impressed as well with it.
Yeah.
He was really excited about it, really impressed.
Yeah, it was fun. We met him, and we got to see a different side of Fred Minnick. So we met him towards the end. Joe Dickinson found Cameron was up in the area for his river route. So we found him, and he dragged Cam over to Fred Minnick. And then we were talking all this stuff. And then it was just interesting because we were just chatting with Fred Minnick, and we were talking about how he got into knowing people in the Cleveland whiskey and all these different things. So we got to see a different side of Fred Minnick, which kind of won me over beyond the ascot and, I know whiskey.
I still met him when he was like that. And in all honesty, because I was working the table and it was so crazy. I only had enough time, like coming back from the bathroom to say, hi, I just want to say hi. It's nice to meet you. And then of course the OHLQ camera came up.
Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, bye. It's nice to meet you. I gotta get back to work and
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's a whiskey event that brought people that know of different people together, and then that's where you chit chat. That's where you find connections, and that's where you go from there.
Oh, so happy birthday, Independent Joe!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! April birthdays are the best birthdays, in my completely unbiased opinion. Yeah, I hope they do it again. It was a great amount of fun. I think it was a good way for people who are still on the fence about Irish whiskey to actually be able to try some really recent. I mean, for 50 cents, you could have up to 8 different samples. And the only thing I told him I recommended, I said, I wish they would have done it like a punch card or something instead of having
what I thought they were
people collecting quarters.
Yeah, well, and also up in Cleveland, people didn't sign off. So people were having way more than 8 samples because there was just so many people, and people were just handing change over, and you were just getting whatever you could get.
Columbus was the same.
I can imagine.
But I mean, you had like the distillers and the one poor, I think his name is Matt for JJ Corey. He's walking around and his pockets are weighing down with quarters. He's got change and cash in his pockets.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing I think they could have. Maybe they can tweak next time is to find a way to stamp them or something. So I have a feeling though it is something. I mean, you do have to make sure you don't overserve people.
Right.
But I think
and you didn't hear any major things about the events. No, something happened here, something happened here,
nothing like that.
Here.
No, it was a great success.
Yeah.
That's what kills. So I had talked to Ann Demick from OHLQ beforehand, and she was. They were absolutely freaked out. They were so worried nobody was going to show. They were, and you realize you're going to have a line out the door, right? Well, I hope you're right. They seriously were not. They were worried people would show, and they had a line out the door at least. I don't know about Cincinnati, but Cleveland and Columbus had a line out the door.
We were, yeah. Well, and Jungle Jim's is a really big place. That's where they had it, right? Jungle Jim's.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Jungle Jim's.
I think from what I heard, I think Cincinnati was a little bit more lightly attended, but I think it probably also looked that way because it was a much bigger space than the Cleveland and Columbus locations. So
there Gandy was out to Cincinnati.
Ooh,
Cincinnati Drive was a blast. Picked up 6 bottles. Gandy, we are drinking right now one. I don't know if you picked this one up. The Liberator Malt and Muscatel.
Yeah, and I will say this: like Ben was talking earlier about how do you make sure that you stay within your budget and things like that.
We didn't.
We did not.
No.
And like
no regrets.
No regrets. And so we made an intentional choice about our spending and buying some experiences.
I pushed my friends who were in town for the Middleton Festival of Whiskeys. And I pushed them into stores, and they bought quite a bit. But I told them, like, we've all been griping for years about Ohio not having enough Irish whiskey. They listened, they brought it in for us. So you can't, I know we're all going to Ireland and we're going to buy a lot there, but you can't go on a spending hiatus when they're doing what you wanted them to. You guys need to pick up the whiskey now.
You need to show it's worth bringing in. People are going to buy it.
If we don't buy it, it sits, they're not going to bring it in again. And I'm very glad to see that it is selling as well as it has been. I have heard through the grapevine that Cleveland was the most attended event, and Columbus people spent the most money in Columbus, and that Cincinnati was third or second, I guess, in both of those, or third in both of those. But
well, Cleveland does have a lot of Irish patriots, ex-Irish. Like, we have a large.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of expats up there. A lot of them. Hey, Gandy, we were drinking that actually earlier. You can see mine. Yeah, mine's got a lot going. It's a good one. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thanks for
having
having
us.
If you are not subscribed to the A Spirited Life podcast, do yourself a favor. Is really, really good listening. It really is. It's really enlightening. It's really motivational. Give them a follow. Make sure you follow them. Also, you guys are on Instagram. Make sure you're following them on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, right now is Kilco Whiskey Musings. He is having his 850 subscriber celebration. So go over and make sure you give him a follow. Tell him I sent you. Wish him well. At 7:30 is Eastern time. These are all Eastern times. 7:30 Eastern time. Anthony Bourbon Neophyte is going live. 9 p.m. is Livewire Whiskey. So I will see all you guys later during their streams. Thank you guys. Have a good Sunday, and I will see you next week. Sláinte, everyone.
Sláinte.